about to today. Here's Pasi Petrolainen with the big shot from the point. And that gives the Finns a 1-0 lead after one. Second period, Timo Salonen, a veteran of international competition for Finland, makes it 2-0, and they were up and rolling from there, up 3-0. Mika Elomo on the power play bangs home the rebound, and after 2 periods of play, Finland with a 4-0 lead. Third period, Finns go up 5-0. Timo Salonen gets his second goal of the game as he catches the rebound in the scramble. Swiss added one late in the game, but Finland wins it by a final score of 5-1. Other news from the world of hockey tonight. A player who once starred in this tournament is back in the news again. Alexei Yashin, who has been holding out on the Ottawa Senators, may soon be back in the fold. When Pierre Gauthier was hired as the new general manager of the Ottawa Senators, he said his first priority was to get Yashin signed and said he had no intention of trading him. Tomorrow in Boston, Gauthier will meet with Yashin's agent, Mark Gandler. We'll follow that story for you and hopefully have some comments tomorrow. But Gauthier hopes to have Yashin in the lineup early in the new year for the Ottawa Senators. When we come back on our Subway Live at the intermission, we'll talk to Art Berglund from Team USA. Canada leads it 5-0 after 2.
Hi everyone, Brendan Connor in the TSN newsroom getting ready for Sports Desk coming up after the game. And looking at the NHL tonight, one interesting matchup because the Buffalo Sabres in to face the Pittsburgh Penguins, and in there to face them with an 18-year-old goaltender between the pipes for Buffalo. Goaltender injuries have forced them to go with young Martin Biron from the Quebec Junior League, making his NHL debut, but facing our firing squad of the Pens. Pittsburgh up 2-1. Mario Lemieux feeds Jagger in the slot. He scores on the power play, number 30 on the year. Make it 3-1 Pittsburgh, and before the period ends, a beautiful passing play. It'll be Zubov to Jagger to Ron Francis. Flick, and it's in. 18 on the year for Francis. Pens lead at 4-1. Now it is 6-1, and Steve Shields mercifully has gone into the game in between the pipes for the Buffalo Sabres. Other scores to tell you about: Washington over the Habs 1-0. They're in the third period now. Ottawa down 4-3 to the Rangers. They're into the third period. Raptors won today. Grizzlies trail Houston by 10 in the first half.
Hi, I'm Josie Theodore from Team Canada.
And I'm Denny Gauthier.
And Christian Dubé.
Join us tomorrow as we take on Switzerland.
Right here on TSN.
Sounds good to me. The pregame show starts at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Canada against Switzerland tomorrow for the 1996 World Junior Hockey Championship. Here, it's Canada leading the United States by a score of 5-0 after 40 minutes of play. With me now is Art Berglund, the director of national teams for Team USA and USA Hockey. Art, 5-0 after 2, a disappointing way to start.
Well, certainly we're disappointed. We're very pleased to have such a big crowd out here to promote this quality of hockey, but certainly Canada has come with a very strong team to defend that gold medal, and they're going to be a tough team. I'm real impressed with the Canadian hockey team that they brought here to Massachusetts.
You mentioned Massachusetts, the host state, I guess we should call it, for this tournament, because Boston is sort of the host city, but you bring it here and you seem to have a strong organization here.
Well, you know, we're very pleased to have this champion. This is our third time hosting it. We had it in Anchorage, Alaska. We had it in Minnesota. We're very pleased to have it in one of our major pockets where hockey is a big sport here in the New England and Massachusetts area. Boston is a great hockey town with a great tradition. We have great facilities here, and we hope it's all going to work out for the best.
Art, it's a big college hockey area, and that's one thing that people have been talking about USA Hockey and the selection process for this team, that they went primarily with college players. Someone like Sean Haggerty in the Ontario Hockey League not invited to the camp. Is there a direction by USA Hockey to go towards college players?
No, that's not necessarily true. I've been involved in this tournament for 20 years now, and we've always had major junior A players, and we always try to select the best players available. For Sean Haggerty was at our Olympic Festival in Denver, Colorado, and our coaching staff chose not to select Sean. And we understand, we know that he's had a real good season this year, and I don't think it has anything to do with going with college players. As you know, we certainly do have junior players on our team. It was just a selection that was made, and one that we've stood behind, and yet we know it was a controversial one, especially in the Canadian area where he's done so well in one of the major leagues.
Art, there's next year time at the Olympics, a dream team concept. Pros are going to play in the Olympics. Of course, the U.S. Olympic team is USA Hockey's franchise. How does this change your program?
Well, it doesn't really change us. You know, we have been using NHL players in the World Championship. That agreement that the PAA, the league, and the top hockey countries signed was a three-part agreement. It includes that players will be available for the World Championships, teams that don't make the playoffs. It includes the World Cup of Hockey, which I understand is going to be played next year, and it includes participation in the Olympics. And all three of those programs are a team that comes under the jurisdiction of the U.S. But we've met with the Players Association, Bob Goodenow, Ted Saskins, and with the league, Steve Solomon and Brian Burke, and we feel we're a happy family working towards Nagano.
Art, thanks very much, and good luck the rest of the tournament.
Thank you very much. Pleasure, and good luck to the Canadian team.
Thanks very much.
Great job.
Art Berglund from Hockey USA. And there's Anders Hedberg, a guy who started in this tournament before, and I think he played in the NHL for a while, too, it seems to me. Hedberg's here, and so are the other scouts watching what we've seen so far.
Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
Time now for the Nike play of the period from the second. It's another Canadian goal. This time, Damon Langkow sets it up to another Western Leaguer, Nat Damakelli, at the side of the net. As Canada's off and rolling, leading it 5-0. The play of the period brought to you by Nike. Nike Canada encourages you to just do it. Here's a guy who wishes the Toronto Maple Leafs would just do it. The Leafs in red are doing okay, though, up 5-0. Back with more in our Subway second intermission after this.
Well, Canada had a 3-0 lead after one period. Didn't get any better for the U.S. in the second period. Damon Langkow with his first of the tournament. Jerome McGinley picking up an assist at 1:10, as was the case in the first period. Canada scoring early, following that up with another one. This one on the power play. Nat Damakelli gets it. Shots on goal. A 30-21 for Canada after a couple of periods. Big positive for Canada so far has to be that the big line, the line of Langkow, Iginla, and Damakelli doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, carrying the brunt of the offensive weight for the Canadian team.
Well, they are. In the first period, I thought that the Botterill, Alan McCauley, Jamie Wright line was exceptional. In the second period, the number one line took over. Jerome Iginla is like a wide body down in the corner. He does a better job along the boards than anybody on this team, perhaps anybody in this tournament. We saw Damakelli, just a great finisher and a great passer. And Damon Langkow, exceptional vision out on the ice. I'll tell you what, the Tampa Bay Lightning have a very good one in him. It's going to be interesting to see how it makes the transition to the National Hockey League with bigger, stronger players, but he's got great speed, he's competitive, he's feisty, sees the ice so well, he's a great goal scorer, great passer. Everything you want in a hockey player on that line really combines all the elements of Canadian hockey.
Canada working in the shutout, 5-0 through a couple of periods. Canada shut the U.S. out last, a 3-0 back in 1993 when the tournament was in Sweden.
Team Canada returning to the ice with a 5-0 lead after 2 periods of play. Before the start of the third period, let's go to Mark Bunting, who's with OHL Commissioner Dave Branch.
Thank you, Gord. First off, your impressions of the game so far?
Well, hey, you got to like Canada's game plan. All the credit in the world to Marcel Como and his staff and players. Great speed, great skill and execution, and I'm sure they'll keep it up.
Can you quickly tell us, as you see, the differences between Canadian major junior hockey and college hockey in the States?
Well, I think the big thing is, Mark, when you play twice as many games, practice 3 times as much during the course of one season, that pretty well tells the story. Playing U.S. college, you put yourself at quite a disadvantage in terms of developing at the rate of a major junior player.
Thank you, David. Enjoy the game.
Thanks very much.
David Branch, OHL Commissioner. Let's go back to Paul and Bob.
Oh, a decided lack of Ontario Hockey League representation on this team. Only 2 OHLers on the Canadian team, and Sean Haggerty, an Ontario Hockey League player, not playing for the U.S. team. Time now for Between the Boards, brought to you by the Gillette Series. The best a man can get. Between the Boards, the hits favoring Canada slightly in that second period. They were a little more even in the first frame. Power plays really let the U.S. down. 0 for 4 scoring chances, widely favoring Canada in period number 2. Face-off still pretty close.
Anyway you slice it, you want to take all those statistics. The second period was total domination by Team Canada, with the exception of power play opportunities, a couple of them at the tail end of the period, and Bears pointing out for the next minute and 11 seconds will be a 2-man advantage for Team USA. Nolan Baumgartner in the box. He picked up 2 minutes for hitting from behind, and I guess with that a 10-minute misconduct. Mike Watt is in there, obviously serving the minor for Baumgartner.
And Jose Theodore working on the shutout.
Jason Botterill, the other member of Team Canada, wearing the A in the penalty box.
Just want to point out, yeah, that is the penalty box, not the bench. Although it's crowded enough right now. So a big two-man advantage for the U.S. to kick off this third period. And let's see what unfolds as the puck is rattled in by Brian Berard. Clymer back at the blue line with Berard. He's got it now. Top of the point, Berard tried to work it up there, picked off, and cleared out by Alan McCauley. This is Clymer. He'll fire it up. Reasoner hustling hard up there after it. Here's Berard, top of the point. Clymer up there for Reasoner, scores! Marty Reasoner gets the U.S. on the board with a power play goal, and it's 5-1. Canada still leading.
Some good movement there by Clymer, and a nice pass. Get it over, and a good job anticipating the rebound. Very quick hands. A nice pass by Clymer and a one-timer by Reasoner. No Team Canada defenseman was able to get over quick enough. It was Chad Allen coming a little bit late. Good quick hands to knock that puck back out of the air and put it by Jose Theodore for the first goal of the game for Team USA. They've still got 1 minute and 18 left on this power play.
And it is now a one-man advantage. That goal scored with a two-man advantage. Reasoner gets it. Berard and Clymer pick up the assists. And it is now a 5-on-3 man advantage for the U.S. team. Puck down into the corner. Burns. 5-on-4 man advantage for the U.S. They score the power play goal in a 5-on-3. And this is Berg. Cuts it in front of the net. Puck fired. Trying to get it on goal there was Jeff Kelty, who'd moved right in from the point. 28 seconds to go on the power play. Here comes Iginla. Up there for Canada. Trying to hold off a couple of U.S. players. One of them, big Jeff Kelty. And Kelty can't tangle up Iginla. He gets it in front of the net. Puck was loose there momentarily. That was Curtis Brown who had the chance after some good spade work by Iginla along the boards. And Holland was upended there. And the U.S. suddenly with some jump. Teams back at even strength. Berg going for the front of the net. Puck rolls back. Picked up and Watt starts back for Canada. This is Brown. Watt is trailing. Canada's in a line change. Watt with a good low shot. The best Canada could do there. Watt and Mills were the only two men up there. Mills moving up after it. Teams all even up. Canada with a 5-1 lead. The U.S. getting on the scoreboard early here in this third period. And coming up, John McKelly trying to knock it down. Herr is up there. Herr along the board, gets it all the way back. Puck fired up by McBain. That was kicked away. Good low shot by McBain from back at the blue line. This is Herr. Back again to McBain. Shoots! And the puck skips up around. Mills after it. This is Clymer. Played just over 3 minutes of this third period. Here comes York for the U.S. And York going towards the front of the net. Hankinson had it cradled in a stick there, but couldn't deliver the payload. Don McKelly gets it ahead. Langkow moving in. Don McKelly and Iginla both going for the front of the net and both tied up. Holland shooting. That's knocked down in front. I don't think Boucher saw it. Or at least didn't see where the rebound had gone. Don McKelly dipping and diving, centering that puck across. Langkow will pick it up. He shoots one on goal. That's knocked away. Farkas trying to get it out. This is Holland for Canada. Over to Redden. Rings it up there. Botterill couldn't get to it in time. Hankinson tips it outside the line. Gauthier coming over after it. And Theodore is just going to hang on. USA gets on the board. Marty Reisner with the goal on a two-man advantage.
The 1996 World Junior Hockey Championship is brought to you in part by GM Chevy Trucks. Chevy Trucks, like a rock.
All time in the World Juniors, the U.S. is 2-16-1 against Canada. And trailing in this game by a score of 5-1. And Dubé coming away for the Canadian team. Larson is with him. He'll take the feed. Dubé going to the front of the net and couldn't get away from Kelty. Mills after it. He throws himself into his man. The puck doesn't stay in, however. Delayed offside in Canada. They have to clear the zone. Pass is behind Swanson. And icing is called in the U.S.
Well, Nolan Baumgartner, the Canadian captain, is in the penalty box, and as a result, they lose maybe their steadiest defenseman. That's a situation that Coach Jack Parker of Boston University is trying to take advantage of. With Baumgartner off, it looked like Chad Allen was matched up with Denny Gauthier Jr. Now coming out onto the ice for Team Canada, Chris Phillips, number 4.
And Chris Phillips, the extra defenseman in the depth chart, fulfilling much the same role that Wade Redden did last year as a 17-year-old, first year in the tournament. Here's Warner. He'll fire it up, rebound in front, knocked away. And last year, using Wade Redden, Don Hay did a great job of that. Don Hay and the coaching staff, they used him in situations to build his confidence against the other team's third and fourth lines. And he really came a long way, of course, went very high in the draft.
Well, Phillips is projected to be the #1 overall pick in this year's entry draft. That's obviously subject to change depending on performance the rest of the way, and there are some good ones. But Phillips is right now considered the consensus #1 overall pick for the 1996 entry draft.
For Samsonov, the sensational Russian player, not into the draft until next year, 1997. Reisner up there, gets it in front of the net. Botterill flips it away. This is Chad Allen. Just throws it ahead. Berard trying to hold off Watt. Puck doesn't get far enough for icing. Berard chops it up. And Redden clears it back, and he took a hit from Bird. This is Allen with it. And two-line pass called there in Canada. 13:57 to go in the third period. Back in a moment.
You could win a trip for two to Vienna by voting for the Canadian Hockey Awards. The Team Canada Award nominees are Team Canada 72, the 82 World Junior Gold Medalists, and the 1994 World Champions. Ballots and contest details available at Esso Retailers and Associates and TSN's website. Vote today.
Well, Canada getting off to the great start. A couple of quick goals following up with another 3 goals in the first period. The big line, Domichelli, Lankow, and Iginla doing exactly what people had hoped it would. And Canada 2 for 3 in the power play. Game story brought to you by Chevy Trucks. Chevy Trucks, like a rock. I'm Paul Romanek with Bob McKenzie and Gord Miller at the Centrum in Worcester. Game number 1 of the World Junior Hockey Championship for Canada and the U.S. Canada with the 5-1 lead. This is Lankow. Shovels it ahead. Domichelli trying to come up there to help. Clymer feeds it back up along the boards. Rasmussen to Bird. Dropped it back. McCarthy. A little bit of trouble there. He was going one way. The puck was going the other. Jeremiah McCarthy with it. Gets it up around the boards. Domichelli in front of Iginla. Tried to one-time that one. He did, but fired it wide. Parrish up after it. Gauthier trying to hold him up. Gauthier couldn't hold on to Parrish, and Parrish, good work in the corner. Gets that puck loose. Rasmussen. Domichelli couldn't pick it up. And Parrish golfs it in. U.S. will change it up on the fly. A little bit of extra time for Canada to carry out. Dom McKelly. This flips it down the ice. And now Marcel Como will get in a few changes as well. In fact, wholesale changes for Canada. York zipped it across, right onto the stick of Mills, who fires it back in. Here's Bogus for the U.S. York will pick it up. He comes in. Farkas is with him high in the slot, and York slammed on the brakes and got slammed by Warner. Dubé back to pick it up. And Dubé bumped along the wall. Farkas mixing it up. Tight going as they try to scrum it loose. Puck comes back to the line. Bogus has it knocked away, and Larson will take off. Here comes Larson. Shoots, scores! Brad Larson for Canada, and it's 6-1 as Larson burned the defenseman at the Canadian blue line and took off the other way with a breakaway.
Well, just good hustle there by Brad Larson. Beats his man Bogus at the blue line. Bogus vainly attempts to try and take his man out of the play, falls down, comes down and snaps off a quick shot. And the stand-up goaltender Boucher goes down into the butterfly, quite unusual for him. And right up over the shoulder, exactly where you want to put it, on the short side. And a big goal for Brad Larson, his first to the tournament, and one that reestablishes Canada here. They seem to be flagging a little bit, and the U.S. seem to be coming on. And if the U.S. had got the next goal, things might have gotten interesting, but that should deflate them in a big way, as well as penalty to Brian Berard.
So Canada with a 6-1 lead, and Brian Berard heading to the box. Power play time for the Canadians when we come back. That's Todd Harvey in a full gold medal celebration. Our next broadcast comes your way tomorrow. Pre-game warm-up at 7 o'clock, opening puck drop around 7:30 Eastern Time, Switzerland against Canada. A little frustration on the part of Brian Berard and his U.S. teammates. Berard will cool his heels for a couple of minutes after taking this penalty.
Down low in the corner, Jason Podolin coming up. Florida Panther draft pick who plays for Spokane. Gets rubbed out along the boards. Just a little extra elbow. Face mask jilted up a little bit. Jason Podolin out there taking this face off on the power play.
Canada is 2 for 3 in the power play. 4 shots on goal, 2 goals, 50% in shooting. This is Gauthier. Not the #1 power play unit out there. Gauthier will carry it up. Gets it ahead to Brown. Up to the line, Broderill. Make that Podolin coming in. Podolin down into the corner. Gordon just hanging back. And Gordon digs it loose, gets it back to Gauthier. And the puck fired down the ice by Michael McBain. 1:20 to go in the Canadian power play. 11:05 to go in the third period. Canada with a 6-1 lead over the U.S. 3 goals in the first period, 2 more in the second, 1 here in the third. And 2 of those goals on the power play for Canada. Dom McKelly just dropping it off for Wade Redden. Here comes Gauthier. Had Iginla open on the left-hand side, couldn't get it to him, however. And Sylvia was slammed there at the blue line. Dom McKelly up there with Iginla. Lankow is up front as well for Canada, the #1 power play unit out there now. Iginla looking, passing, Holland couldn't cradle it, and finally just floats it up there to the corner. Here's Dom McKelly picking it up, nobody in front. Iginla in the corner couldn't hang on to it. And this is Potty for the U.S. Gets it outside the line, but not much further. Lankow takes it. Iginla up to join him. He's going towards the net. And Hankinson tying up Iginla. They bump along the boards. Here's Lankow. Back to Holland. Shoots! And the puck poked outside the blue line. Here comes Drury. And he'll just haul it back. 5 seconds left in Canada's power play. Canada 2 for 4 on the power play tonight. Couple of shots on goal during that last man advantage. Teams all even up. Puck comes in front. Knifed just wide by Marty Reisner. Reisner has the only goal for the U.S. in this game, and he just missed right there. Bogus gets it cross ice, knocked away. Phillips for Canada mixing it up. And by the way, the next stoppage, Nolan Baumgartner will be eligible to step out of the penalty box. And he'll do that now. Canada had been missing Baumgartner while he was serving a 10-minute misconduct. Right off the draw, the puck to Berard. He fired it in wide. Here's Redden. Goes up against the grain and gets it to Dubé. Here comes Redden. All the way back to Warren. Berard. Lost his glove and the puck. Theodore slaps it up to Larson. And Dubé will take off. Not for long. Parrish back the other way with Rasmussen. That's broken up by Dubé. Mills trying to poke his way up. Canada getting in a few player changes. Puck comes out. This is Watt. Looking for Mills. Podolin couldn't handle it. Mills goes after the puck. Gives his man a thump, trying to take it away from Berard. And Podolin in there as well, but they manage to scrum it up, and Podolin takes a bit of a shot there from a frustrated Reg Berg.
Well, a good shift there for Craig Mills of the Belleville Bulls. A lot of people talked about the prospect of a Belleville Bull being on this team. Daniel Cleary, the Newfoundlander, was cut on his 17th birthday, one of the last cuts, but Craig Mills made the team, who was one of the last cuts on last year's team. A draft pick of the Winnipeg Jets, started the season with the Jets, came back and now captains the Belleville Bulls. If you're keeping track, Paul, there are 9 captains on this Canadian junior team, 5 assistant captains, so 14 of the 20 skaters wear a letter in either the Canadian Hockey League or the NCAA.
Here comes York, back for the U.S. Kerr up there, gets it loose to York. Farkas trying to get loose in front. Podolin. A couple of promising young players out there for the U.S. now. York and Farkas, both 17-year-olds. You'll likely see them again in this tournament. In a game like this is the time to get them some experience. That was Watt being pushed in towards the U.S. bench. Here's Phillips. And Watt coming back. Podolin into the corner. Clymer jumped out of the way there, or rather fell out of the way. Botterill up after it, trying to cut back in front. Botterill got there, but couldn't get a shot away. And back comes the U.S. Farkas cuts it over the blue line. Drops it up ahead to Potty, trying to wind his way in, but Chad Allen was keeping him at arm's length from Jose Theodore.
Canadian Tire has great prices on everything you need. Plus, earn Canadian Tire money with every cash purchase of merchandise. Great prices made better at Canadian Tire.
Well, Mike Watt of the Michigan State Spartans lined up and taken out on a textbook play by American defender just in front of the Team USA bench.
Actually, sort of a dual takeout there.
That's right. Mike Watt from Egmontville, Ontario. Not too far from Stratford, where he played junior B hockey. Tier 2 before moving on to Ron Mason's Michigan State Spartans.
Offside called on Canada. We'll talk last year, Bob, about the way Don Hay brought Wade Redden along, worked him into the lineup, built his confidence.
Well, he did, but at the same time, Wade Redden deserves so much of the credit because he played so much with so much more poise than anybody expected that he was going to play with. Number 2 overall to the New York Islanders. The book on Wade Redden is ice water running through the veins, has to be a little more physical. That's what the New York Islanders want him to be. Brandon Wheat Kings, Coach Marcel Como said the same thing, that he's got to once in a while hit in somebody's face. A little more than he does, but just an outstanding prospect for the National Hockey League. He's going to be a very good one on the New York Islander blue line. Jason Holland, another blue liner on this Canadian team also an Islander prospect, so things are looking up on the island, although you wouldn't know it right now.
The words measured and controlled come to mind when you talk about a player like Wade Redden. Ice water in the veins, a phrase used often, and I think guys who play with control like that can often be hung with the label of there's not enough intensity there.
Well, they make things look so easy. Always makes the easy pass, and even if it's a difficult situation under pressure, Wade Redden handles it so extremely well. Just a terrific kid, too, from Hillman, Saskatchewan.
Stretching the analogy, but I mean, I don't remember Larry Robinson playing with a huge amount of intensity. He was always very measured, controlled, and a Hall of Famer. Here comes Don McKelly, and he is stopped by Boucher. Good stop by Boucher. Here's Cullen picking it up for the U.S. Gauthier clears it back in for Canada. 6-1 for Canada, and Brian Boucher, the U.S. goalie who started slowly in this game, has gotten better as the game has gone on. And a nice stop there. There's Berard back to pick it up for the U.S. 5.5 minutes to go. And icing called on Team USA.
Oh, a great save by Brian Boucher on that Don McKelly. A couple of Western Hockey League guys. Boucher, the Tri-City Americans, a first-round draft pick of the Philadelphia Flyers. Don McKelly, a fourth-rounder of the Hartford Whalers. I thought this one might be offside. There's Iginla, makes the pass, and if so, it was ever so close. Close call even on the replay, so we'll give the linesman the benefit of the doubt. Just a great sprawling save by Boucher from a guy who's got tremendous hands. That Don McKelly goes to the backhand, and Boucher sprawls out, gets the arm down.
Phillips clearing it up for Canada. Larson after it, but it gets by him. Here's Sylvia. Delayed penalty coming up against Canada. Pass up ahead for Smith. And play is called a slashing call coming up against Canada. So the U.S. with another power play chance. It will be Craig Mills heading off to the box. Here's Craig Mills. Slashing call on him. The U.S. getting its 7th power play chance of the hockey game. They're 1 for 6 in the power play.
Two-hander on Clymer right from behind, right over the glove. The referee Bolina, Swedish referee, right on top of the situation. Back to the power play. Keep an eye on number 9 taking the face-off. Eric Rasmussen. It's a good one, eligible for the draft.
Here's Berard, tried to sneak it through there. It went off the ankle of McCauley, and he is on the limp a little bit, but a good burst of speed to get to the bench, so he can't be too bad. Berg coming up there for the U.S. Around for Rasmussen. Trying to center it against Warner. Berard works it up. Rasmussen is in front, but the shot was a high one and not a low one for Rasmussen to tip. Berg along the boards. And the puck popping outside the blue line there. Offside called in the U.S. 1:26 to go in the power play.
Well, lots of Canadians making their way down, and one group that is, that would be Dave Branch's hockey team. Dave Branch, the commissioner of the Ontario Hockey League, also the head coach of the Whitby Major Pee-wee AAA hockey team from Whitby, Ontario, down for a holiday tournament. The Whitby Wildcats. Of course, I wouldn't live in Whitby, would I, Paul? Shameless plug for the hometown.
And if you care, Whitby is about a 35-minute drive from Toronto. Out in the burbs, you are, Mr. McKenzie. Here's Berard. Up to Berg. Rasmussen going up after. Berard, top of the point. 52 seconds to go in the power play. Good job by McCarthy to keep it in and got a good shot away. Here's Berg. Berg looking through towards the front. Back for Berard. Nobody in front. Rasmussen got there but couldn't tip it. Parrish goes after the puck for the U.S. Back to McCarthy. Over to Berard. Tips it up, and Berg fighting to try to keep it. Rasmussen back out. McCarthy shoots. Parrish off the boards trying to play it. Botterill for Canada. McCarthy shoots. 15 seconds left in the power play for the U.S. Rasmussen thumping his man. Berard has it. He'll move up with a shot. A good one right on, and Theodore hangs on to it. Rasmussen with some good work out there and got the puck back to Berard, who landed a good shot on net. Look at the game story. Canada gets off to the great start. 3 goals in the first 13 minutes or so of the first period. Down McKelly, Lankow, and Iginla with 6 scoring points. Lankow, the big man tonight, with a goal and a couple of assists.
Well, Jose Theodore has been very sharp tonight in net. When he's had to make the saves, he's been able to do it. Brian Berard, a high, hard one that Theodore was able to make the save on.
And he just makes another one there off the faceoff. Here's Potty after it. Puck comes across. McCauley. Boucher up off the glass. Reasoner trying to come away with it. Teams at even strength. Mills is up there for Canada, but he's going to hustle to try to get back as the Americans turn it around. Only out to center. Brown hustling hard up there against Clymer. Gordon after it. And here's Herr. Herr given a bit of a rub there by Gordon. And the puck goes up over the glass and out of play. 6-1 is the score. Canada on top. You're watching the 1996 World Junior Hockey Championship. Closed captioning this period brought to you by Canadian Tire. 6-1, Canada leading 2:10 to go in the third period. Here's Larson. Hits it back. By the way, with the format change, which is now like the Senior World Championship with 2 pools and then a playoff round, what also comes into effect in the World Junior Championship is the dreaded shootout. And yes, the gold medal could be decided on a shootout, or any tie game for that matter.
Once you get to that playoff round, that's absolutely correct. No ties allowed.
Theodore fires it up around the boards. Well, the Men's World Championship, the Senior Men's, has been like this for a couple of years now, where they have 2 pools. The first year they've done it in the Junior World Championship, Pool A. The other teams Canada is with. Canada will play all of those teams in the first round. And Pool B, likewise, it's a round robin for Russia, Sweden, Czechs, Germans, and the Slovaks.
And if you finish in first place at the preliminary round robin, you go directly to the semifinal. If you finish or second or third place, you have to play a crossover, what they call playoff qualifier, sudden death with the shootout if it ends in a tie. So you definitely a big incentive to finish in first place in your round robin. Move on to the semifinals automatically. You win 2 more hockey games, you're the World Junior Champions.
Which is a lot more satisfying to the fans, I have to think, than, I mean, you think of Canada's last 2 gold medals. Last year, Canada won the gold medal sitting in the dressing room, and the year before that, Canada won the gold medal against Japan, just because of the way the schedule worked out. Hardly a huge climax.
It's really odd. I used to be so critical of the old format. Now I find myself a little bit longing for it, too, because every game meant so much. Then Gauthier knocked down there, comes back in, gives his man a shot in the head. Picks up a roughing penalty for going a little too hard at his man, and Danny Gauthier, first rounder of the Calgary Flames, 20th overall in the 1995 draft. It's going to be a good one of the big physical presence guys on this team. He and Rhett Warner are the 2 real bangers on the blue line. Warner coming over from the Florida Panthers.
So are you on the fence or what? Do you like
I'm
this?
on the fence. I haven't decided yet.
Hankinson trying to chop it in. Here's Berard. Just flips it up there.